If there's anything you want, anything at all, come to me. I'll be your guardian angel.
I've seen a fair amount of shows where a majority of the cast, or at least the main character, suffer in some type of way. Guts from Berserk, Okabe Subaru from Steins Gate and ReZero, and even Sato from Welcome to the NHK, have issues that they have to overcome. However, it's hard to imagine a life where absolutely nothing is positive, but today's series is able to accomplish just that. What's up guys, it's Kent from Spartan Media Reviews, here to review the anime Technolize. How do you capture a scene? Is it through cinematography, or can it be through music or another film element? Technolize is able to capture a scene, and my attention, within the first 15 seconds after the opening finished. Combining a multitude of camera angles, a dark atmosphere, chilling music, and little to no dialogue for the entire first episode, Technolize kept me on edge the entire time. The show don't tell mentality was able to convey not only the initial premise without the need for exposition, but it was able to set the style of narrative as well. The story of Technolize isn't really about any particular character in general, but more about the world they currently live in. Our story takes place in Lux, a barren world full of people struggling to survive. The story follows our main character, Ichise, a boxer who loses both his arm and leg due to an enraged fight promoter not liking the outcome of his fight. Now having no options left to survive, Ichise is taken in by a young woman who installs the newest form of prosthetic limbs on his body, called Technolize. With his new body, Ichise is then caught up in a war between parties, and his fight to survive this living nightmare continues onward. Technolize's story is definitely not for everyone. You have to be in a certain mindset in order to appreciate the true beauty of Technolize's story. Man, that sentence made me sound really entitled and pretentious. But I truly mean what I say. I enjoyed watching the story for its initial premise, but what I truly appreciated was the amount of detail the creators put into the thematic elements, overall message, and writing. You would think that a show with very little to no dialogue would suffer at some points in writing, considering it takes two to spark a conversation. However, what Technolize does is something I appreciate a lot. While the primary goal of Technolize is to obviously tell a story of some nature, the beauty of Technolize is in building up the world of Lux itself. I became engrossed in the overall setting and atmosphere the show portrayed as each episode progressed. It showcased the harsh reality of what the characters had to go through, which added to its overall tone as well. The show's pacing is where I find its writing to be the weakest, and it could be a nail in the coffin depending on the mindset of what you want to watch. Binge watching is something that can hurt the value of a series depending on the pace at which the story moves, as well as how much content the narrative puts into each episode. For Technolize, binge watching the series is certainly a detriment to the overall experience. Due to the extremely slow pace at which the narrative moves, it can be difficult to watch multiple episodes of the show in a long span of time. To appreciate the series a lot more, at least for me, condensing the show to 2 episodes per day would be worthwhile in the long run. The same can be said for other series like Casshern Sins and so on. It's a story that does well in small doses, helping you appreciate what the world and characters have to offer. Technolize contains an interesting set of characters that all have their own outlooks on how to live, or die depending on the scenario. Technolize's characters don't develop that much as the series advances, but thanks to the writing throughout the series, it makes the characters seem fleshed out. Not one of our characters truly know what is the right way to live, as violence breaks out in the city every day. Having a cast of characters where everyone suffers creates a different outlook on a majority of the series we see, considering someone usually gets their way in the end. This in turn also added to the city's overall setting and atmosphere, showcasing the harsh reality of living in this terrible world. Each main and supporting character was also entirely different from the next. It's interesting to see all these different mentalities coexist together when their only thing in common is trying not to die. Technolize is dark, literally. For a lot of the episodes, it is very difficult to see everything that is going on, depending on the lighting conditions you are watching the show in. While the dark tones and shades help create the dreary atmosphere that Technolize does so well, the overall lighting of the show could have been a lot better. In terms of overall production, while not much movement is present, Technolize handles 2 things very well: backdrops and camera movement. By the end of the series, Lux became one of the most interesting worlds that I have seen in anime thanks to the attention it receives, with the camera movements playing a big role in that area. Using a multitude of angles, Technolize is able to capture its scenes quite well, whether it is in combat situations or in simple interactions. Character designs were also very interesting, differing from the norm and capturing that run-down cyberpunk style as well. The opening animation is interesting in its own right also. I am a big fan of chaotic editing, at least for things like trailers, AMVs, and others of the like. Technolize utilizes that chaotic style with what looks like an old film filter on top, giving it a sense of added mystery, both to the world of Lux and the characters that inhabit it. Not Not much needs to be said about the ending, as it is very simplistic, consisting of well-drawn artwork, but nothing out of the ordinary. Technolize has a very chilling style of score. This in turn helped bring in a better feel to the overall atmosphere that the series contains. Not one track in particular stood out, but when an overall score makes everything about the series better, you know that the soundtrack accomplished its overall goal. I enjoyed listening to both the opening and ending of this series. The opening, Guardian Angel, is fantastic, diverging from the norm by having a mostly instrumental piece. It also works really well with the overall feel of the show, by utilizing lower tones and sound effects to create a mysterious atmosphere. The ending is also a solid track, being melancholic in nature, which transitions well after all the depressing moments in each episode. For how little dialogue there is in the show, the voice acting, which I heard in both Japanese and English, was very well done. While I preferred the dub due to the nature of the show, either version is worth your time. Now, with everything that I have said, do I recommend watching Technolize? Absolutely. I appreciated everything about Technolize, but I know that this series won't be for everyone. Due to its slow nature, Technolize may be boring to plenty of people. However, I would give this show a chance, at least as it explores a lot of interesting themes about society and the human psyche. It's certainly different, but different does not always equal bad. Overall, Technolize is a must-watch in my opinion, and one that strays away from a lot of the anime medium. Spartan Media Reviews gives Technolize a great recommendation. If you were interested in watching Technolize, you can check it out for free over on Hulu or on Funimation's YouTube page. Now, what are your thoughts on Technolize? Comment below. If you enjoyed this review, hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. You can also subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, I would really appreciate that as well. Follow me on Twitter and Hummingbird to keep up to date with the current things that I am doing, and with all that said, I will catch you guys in my next review. Thank you for watching.
Do you get to see who's into you?